Psalms. Song 78. Give ear, O my people, to my instruction, incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable, I will utter riddles from of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have related to us. We will not hide them from their children, but will relate to the generation to come the praises of Jehovah and his strength and his wondrous deeds that he has done. Indeed, he has established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come, the children to be born, may know them, who should arise and relate them to their children, that they might set their hope in God, and not forget the deeds of God, but observe his commandments, that they might not be like their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that did not set their heart right, and whose spirit was not faithful to God. The children of Ephraim, armed archers with bows, turned back in the day of battle. They did not keep the covenant of God, and they refused to walk in his law. And they forgot his doings and his wondrous deeds that he had shown them. He did something wonderful in the sight of their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the water stand as a heap. And he led them with the cloud by day and all the night with a light of fire. He split rocks in the wilderness and gave them abundant drink, as from the depths. He also brought forth streams from the rock and made water run down like rivers. Yet they still continued to sin against him, to rebel against the Most High in the desert. And they put God to the test in their heart, by asking for food according to their desire. They also spoke against God, they said, Can God prepare a table in the wilderness? Behold, he struck the rock, and water gushed out, and streams overflowed. Can he also give us bread, or provide meat for his people? Therefore Jehovah heard and was angry. And a fire was kindled against Jacob, and also anger went up against Israel, because they did not believe in God, and they did not trust in his salvation. Yet he commanded the skies above and opened the doors of heaven. And he rained down upon them manna to eat and gave them the food of heaven. Man ate the bread of the mighty, he sent them full provision. He made the east wind blow in the heavens and guided the south wind by his strength. And he rained upon them meat like dust, and winged birds like the sand of the seas. And he made it fall in the midst of their camp, around their habitations. So they ate and were well filled. Indeed what they desired he brought to them. They were not estranged from what they desired, their food was still in their mouths. When the anger of God went up against them and slew some of their fattest ones and struck down the choice men of Israel. In spite of all this they still sinned and did not believe in his wondrous deeds. Therefore he consumed their days with vanity, and their years with terror. When he slew them, they inquired after him, and they returned and diligently sought God. And they remembered that God was their rock, and the Most High God, their Redeemer. But they flattered him with their mouth and lied to him with their tongue. For their heart was not steadfast toward him, nor were they faithful to his covenant. But he, being merciful, forgave their iniquity and did not destroy them. Indeed he turned back his anger many times and did not stir up all his wrath. And he remembered that they were flesh, a wind that goes away and does not return. How often they rebelled against him in the wilderness and grieved him in the desert. And they repeatedly put God to the test and provoked the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember his hand, the day when he ransomed them from the adversary, when he set his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan. And he turned their rivers into blood, as well as their streams, so that they could not drink. He sent among them a swarm of flies, which devoured them, and frogs, which destroyed them. And he gave their increase to the consuming locust, and their labor to the swarming locust. And he killed their vines with hail, and their sycamores with ice stones. He gave over their cattle also to the hail and their herds to the lightning bolts. He sent among them the burning fierceness of his anger, overflowing wrath and indignation and trouble, a mission of angels of evils. He leveled a path for his anger, he did not spare their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence. And he struck all the firstborn in Egypt, the first of their vigor in the tents of Ham. But he set forth his people like sheep and led them like a flock in the wilderness. And he led them to safety, so that they did not fear, but the sea covered their enemies. And he brought them forth to his holy border, the mountain, which his right hand had acquired. And he drove out the nations before them and allotted them as an inheritance by line, and he made the tribes of Israel dwell there in their tents. Yet they put him to the test and rebelled against God the Most High, and did not keep his testimonies. And they turned back and dealt treacherously, as their fathers had done, they turned aside like a deceitful bow. Indeed they provoked him to anger with their high places and made him jealous with their graven images. God heard, and he was angered, and he greatly abhorred Israel. Thus he forsook the tabernacle in Shiloh, the tent in which he dwelt among men. And he gave over his ark into captivity, and his glory into the hand of the adversary. He also delivered his people to the sword and was angry with his inheritance. Fire devoured their young men, and their virgins had no marriage song. Their priests fell by the sword, and their widows did not lament. Then the Lord awoke as if from sleep, like a mighty man who shouts because of wine. And he struck his adversaries and sent them back, he put an everlasting reproach upon them. And he rejected the tent of Joseph, and the tribe of Ephraim he did not choose. Rather he chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. And he built his sanctuary like the heights, like the earth that he has founded forever. Moreover he chose David his servant and took him from the sheepfolds. From following after the ewes he brought him to shepherd Jacob his people and Israel his inheritance. And he shepherded them according to the integrity of his heart, and guided them by the skillfulness of his hands. Psalms. Psalm 79. O God, the nations have come into your inheritance, they have defiled your holy temple, they have turned Jerusalem into heaps. They have given the dead bodies of your servants as food for the birds of heaven, the flesh of your saints to the animals of the earth. They have poured out their blood like water around Jerusalem, and there was no one to bury them. We have become a reproach to our neighbors, a mocking and a derision to those around us. How long, O Jehovah? Will you be angry forever? Will your jealousy burn like fire? Pour out your wrath upon the nations who do not know you, and upon the kingdoms who do not call upon your name. For they have devoured Jacob and have desolated his habitation. Do not remember against us the iniquities of our forefathers, may your compassions quickly meet us, for we have been brought very low. Help us, O God of our salvation, for the glory of your name, and deliver us and expiate our sins, for your name's sake. Why should the nations say, where is their God? May the avenging of the blood of your servants, which has been poured out, be known among the nations in our sight. May the sighing of the prisoner come before you. According to the greatness of your power preserve those appointed to die. And render to our neighbors sevenfold into their bosom their reproach, with which they have reproached you, O Lord. And we, your people and the sheep of your pasture, will give you thanks forever, from generation to generation we will tell out your praise. Psalms. Song 80. O shepherd of Israel, give ear, you who lead Joseph like a flock, you who sit between the cherubim, shine forth. Before Ephraim and Benjamin and Manasseh stir up your might, and come to save us. O God, restore us, and cause your face to shine, and we will be saved. O Jehovah God of hosts, how long will you fume against the prayer of your people? You have fed them with the bread of tears and have made them drink tears in large measure. You have made us a cause of strife to our neighbors, and our enemies deride us among themselves. O God of hosts, restore us, and cause your face to shine, and we will be saved. You brought a vine out of Egypt, you drove out nations and planted it. You cleared the ground before it, and it took deep root and filled the land. The mountains were covered with its shadow, and its boughs were like the cedars of God. It put forth its branches unto the sea, and its shoots unto the river. Why have you broken down its hedges, so that all who pass by on the way pluck it? The boar from the forest ravages it, and that which moves through the field feeds on it. O God of hosts, turn, we beseech you, look down from heaven and see, and visit this vine. Even the stock which your right hand has planted and the son whom you have strengthened for yourself. It is burned with fire, it is cut down, they perish at the rebuke of your countenance. Let your hand be upon the man of your right hand, upon the Son of Man whom you have strengthened for yourself. Then we will not turn back from you. Revive us, and we will call upon your name. O Jehovah God of hosts, restore us, cause your face to shine, and we will be saved. Psalms. Song 81. Sing for joy to God our strength, make a joyful noise to the God of Jacob. Lift up a song and sound the tambourine, the pleasant lyre with the harp. Blow the trumpet at the new moon, at the full moon, on our feast day. For that is a statute of Israel, an ordinance of the God of Jacob. He appointed it as a testimony in Joseph when he went out over the land of Egypt. I heard a language that I did not know. I turned your shoulder from the burden, your hands were freed from the basket. You called in trouble, and I delivered you, I answered you from the secret place of thunder, I proved you at the waters of Meribah. Hear, O my people, and I will testify against you, O Israel, if you would listen to me. There shall be no strange God among you, neither shall you worship any foreign god. I am Jehovah your God, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Open your mouth wide, and I will fill it. But my people did not listen to my voice, and Israel would not consent to me. So I gave them over to the stubbornness of their heart, they walked after their own counsels. Oh, that my people had listened to me, that Israel had walked in my ways. I would have soon subdued their enemies and turned my hand against their adversaries. Those who hate Jehovah would have come cringing to him, and their time would be forever. And he would have fed them with the finest of wheat, indeed with honey from the rock I would have satisfied you. Psalms. Song 82. God stands in the congregation of God, he judges in the midst of the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and respect the persons of the wicked? Judge the poor and the orphan, execute justice for the afflicted and the destitute. Rescue the poor and the needy, deliver them from the hand of the wicked. You do not know, nor do you understand, you go about in darkness, all the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, and all of you are sons of the Most High. Nevertheless you will die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you will inherit all the nations.